welcome everyone. Welcome back to Exploring Still Connected. We are having another episode of our Roadside Ramblings, and we have a special guest, Marcus. Marcus is the president of Kingstar. So we've worked with Marcus over the past year or so to get our camper, which is behind us. And we've been thoroughly excited about that camper. So having the opportunity to sit down with Marcus and hear his story and how Kingstar started is hopefully something you're interested in. I know I'm interested in it. And with that said, Marcus, why don't you take a couple of minutes, tell us about yourself, who you are, and how you got started with Kingstar.
Well, welcome to the UP again.
Thanks.
Nice to have you up here, and you're back in the Finnish country, Finland, away from Finland. Yeah, so speaking of Finland, I'm second generation. All three of the four grandparents immigrated over here in the early 1900s, and born and raised here as my folks were. I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and Dad was an entrepreneur. He was a contractor, and he was a manufacturer of wood-burning stoves during the 70s, the energy crisis then. He had a few patents on his wood-burning furnaces, and then my brother Cal was 15 years old at the time, and he came out with the Boss snowplow, and try to keep it short, but it's a pretty cool story. Dad bought him, and Dad was a contractor at the time, and Cal was 15, and my dad bought him a brand new D150 Snowfighter Ram pickup truck with a Meyer snowplow on the front, brand new. And he said, "Son, this is your rig, but you have to get up and get all of our properties that we're building, that he had projects going on, as well as the house, cleared. But other than that, that's your rig." So a few weeks go by, and we're at the dinner table, and Dad says, "Hey, Cal, by the way, how's that truck working?" He said, "Well, the truck's nice, but the plow's no good." He said, "What do you mean no good?" He said, "Well, it's, whether you push snow 10 feet or 100 feet, it was just a straight blade plow." And he said, "Well, do you have any ideas?" And he says, "As a matter of fact, I do." And that was the start of the Boss Plow. And if the people are interested, they can go and check out bossplow.com, I believe the website is. And Toro Manufacturer owns the business now of the landscape. So anyhow, that's kind of the start of our manufacturing in the family. The snow plows, the Boss Plow. Then us brothers were involved in the Cuda parts cleaning business, which is still going today. That company was acquired by another company in an acquisition, and as well as Boss Plow was. And then we started the Blizzard snowplow. Cal, I think, was put on this earth to move snow. And that was a great design. Us brothers were involved in that, and that company was as well acquired by Western Douglas Dynamics. And so that was in 2005, and then we all kind of went our own ways. I went to Arizona and got into horses. I've always liked the concept, kind of the black sheep of the family. Mom didn't want dogs and pets around the house, and horses for sure weren't going to happen. So I was able to now, indulge myself in the horse cowboy lifestyle. And I did.
Yeah.
Bought a horse and bought a bumper pull 2-horse trailer, bought a truck camper, and I'd go about, do my things. And it's like, man, this is a lot of work, this loading up the horse. And because I went to Arizona, and so as you know, growing up there, you go up the Flagstaff, and it's quite a difference in temperature.
Yeah.
And so during the summertime, that's what we would do. I'd take my horse, head up there, and Dad but he would say, if something's hard, just don't keep banging your head against the wall. Maybe try to, step back and look what are the, like you say, pain points.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was the genesis of the trailer, of the horse trailer that was developed, and that's kind of the start of Kingstar. And then we got going on that, and went to a trade show in late 2019 and come back, and then the whole world fell apart and the RV market really took off. Well, the truck camper was something before that all happened. We already had that in the mix because we figured that if we're going down the road to these horse shows or rodeos, things like that, why not have two products to sell? And so we did. We came up with the truck camper and put, some, again, the pain points that I was dealing with in the other campers. And here we are.
Yeah.
And it's not only as far as me personally, just horseback riding. I do have other affinities such as mountain biking and hiking and paddleboarding and kayaking. And so those other sports, I need a place to put them. And I would rather not just stick it in the hitch and have this looking like the Beverly Hillbillies, looking the old show with grandma, looking for that, the black gold.
Absolutely.
So you kind of wanted to have a nice tidy package, and that's part of what we're after, is something that's tidy and nice and easy to deploy and put back on the roof or what have you. And so
yeah, and for those of you not familiar, the horse trailer solved a pain point problem around really hay and feed being on the roof, right? And how do you get it down?
Yeah.
How do you get it back up?
Exactly. And so you've got anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pound beast, and they do have a brain. They have feelings. They're a very emotional animal. And so you load them up and you bounce them down the road, and when you get to where you're at, they really would like to get out of that trailer sooner than later. And well, you can't turn them loose. So either if you're going to be horse camping, you either got to pack your panels and create a temporary corral, or you got to high line them like you would on like a dog run. So you got to find a robust tree, and then you got to ladder up or climb the tree. So there's a lot of risk and sweat, and a lot of these folks are women, and they're really more, well, not just them exclusively. I think we're all about trying to get to the good time sooner than later, and so there's a lot of work involved, and you're loading up the hay. You either gotta get these bales up by yourself. Hopefully somebody's at the barn that can help you, or a bobcat to lift them up. You got hay down your back and you're sweating, and then you got to tarp it. Then it's like, should I go home and shower now, or do I do it up at the camp? So it was a big deal. And so with this thing, you load the hay up, and it with the corral, and so immediately you got hay on the ground. You got a 12 by 12 corral for each horse. You got automatic waters. You got awnings that go out over the horse. It made transporting care and lodging of a horse like you had a Chihuahua with you.
Yeah.
That's how, dramatic of a...
Just very simple, very easy.
Very simple. I
mean, you're fast to deploy.
You get to where you're at, and in 10 minutes, literally in 10 minutes, the horses are outside grazing, which that's what you want. I mean, that's their instinct, is head on the ground grazing. And so it's just better for everybody. So, and that whole thought process carries into the camper. And not only the camper, but our whole life as brothers in business. Me Too products like mine is orange and yours is yellow never excited us.
Yeah.
You have to get very crafty in your marketing and marketing dollars. But if you have intellectual property that makes sense, that makes people's life easier and can get the fun factor, or in the case of the snow removal, make money with our plows, the customer went from only able to do 8 properties a day to literally double it because the production of the plow. So I mean, it's a big deal. So whether it's making money or you want to have fun, and you don't want to break your back, literally, falling off the roof of a camper trying to get something, and that's what we're looking at, getting some more cool ideas to, make the heavier items, kayaks, paddle boards, and just make them go away and put them in the water when you want them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a very unique mindset. I think there's a lot of entrepreneurs that have that mindset and think in that manner. But I think for the general population, and myself included, that mindset has taken a long time to either acquire, or I just haven't been exposed to it. So where do you think you got that mindset of innovation, of improving products, of not just being another me too, but as you said, your father was an inventor, if you will. Did he raise your brothers and all of you as kids to think outside of the box, to constantly innovate, or where did that really come from?
You nailed it. My father was a very unique individual. I don't, and again, I'm prejudiced. We all, have that, or hopefully have that opinion of our parents, and that's great. But speaking of my father, yes, it came from him. He never poo-pooed higher education, like, engineering, accounting. He, without a doubt, he said, surround yourself with those kind of people that are really good. That's what their chop in life is. I think he was probably, thinking that he didn't have that engineering, making numbers work, and in whether it's in accounting or making something that's not going to fall apart. But he had this outside of the box. He could see like a big picture, identify a problem, and go after it with a supporting cast around him. And my brother Cal has a big part of that, He got a big chunk of my dad's ability on that, and it is in the family throughout. And he was like, you know what? He was about team, really a family. Let's all do this as a family, and hire the engineers, the accountants, the welders, from different trades, and then so he promoted the entrepreneur spirit. Yeah, big time. Yeah.
I love that idea. I love the idea that you work as a family and as brothers. I think it's very easy to kind of have the mindset that I'm going to go out and make it on my own, a lot of ways. And, some people can do it, but I think there's something to be said about sharing the load, combining assets and resources. And then, as you said, understanding that you can't necessarily do everything. And there's people out there that are experts in some area, in some field. Well, if we want to make a phenomenal product, let's bring those experts in as well. That's when you outsource and you hire those individuals on to be a part of the team. Exactly. And I think that just makes a lot of sense because, personally, I know I've tried to do a lot of things on my own. And I've made it very far, but it's when I collaborate, when I bring in other team members and partners, that I notice that, it's not necessarily easier. You're still putting in the work, but the scale and impact that you could have is much, much wider.
For sure.
So you were talking about pain points with your truck campers. What were the original pain points that you had with your truck camper that made you really want to innovate with your own and create Kingstar campers?
Yeah, well, some of them literally was a pain. You bang your head on something. It's like, whoa, that's a little too in the space, right? So it was, and then also the it's in the bed of a truck. So you have to be very, from the pillow to the potty, let's make this thing as livable as possible. Yeah. So all the points between, from the front to the back, and it was just jotting them down and looking at all those square, the cubic inches, not cubic feet, cubic inches.
Yeah.
And identifying them, such as, water. There was, as you know, yours is a kitty litter box that we made there. But yeah, just small little areas like, okay, here's a spot right here that is, what's this going to be used for? And it's like, well, water, that's pretty essential, drinking water.
Yeah.
And so a half inch. We're a half inch too small. Well, let's find that half inch somewhere. It's let's make it happen so we can advertise. Here's where 3 gallons of water can go, and it's just pretty much like that. Literal as making it roomy, using the space wisely, and having an aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
That is appealing, and you have all the different brands of trucks, and it is a big box, so to speak, but does it have to be ugly? No, let's try it. And I think I look at some of these cars and I scratch my head at the stampings, and it's like, how did that make it pass?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't cost any more to make it. You got the same metal, and why do you have those angles or lack thereof?
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously it's all, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I get that. But anyways, it's interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I think some of it's, things have worked, and it's always worked, and, let's just continue to go until it works. And I mean, in the camper industry, there's a lot of great products, and there are a few innovators out there, as we did our research, that are really pushing the boundary. I think Kingstar is one of them. And, but a lot of the other, legacy companies, I would say, it just took longer for them to adapt and change with the times, which is, good and bad, depending on how you look at it. We're looking at campers originally. We're looking at like early 2000s Bigfoots. And I was like, this is a great solid shell, and it's just very durable. It's robust. Like, it's something that, will last us a long time. The interior, we would gut and remodel, modernize it, if you will. But I mean, it was a fantastic pair of bones. And I think that that structure, is one of those things that's legacy, and it continues to stay. And, maybe you give it a little uplift, a facelift, if you will, but those big changes, the really big innovation, that tends to take a little bit longer. And, as a new company, Kingstar is, I just see the innovation constantly. And that's fascinating to see. With each camper that comes out, there's always a slight innovative aspect to it in the unit, ours being the command center for working remotely, the litter box. I think you did that a couple units before us, so we got to leverage that as an aspect, and all these little fine-tuning things. So I really appreciate that, and I think that's one of the things that made us ultimately want to work with Kingstar and go with Kingstar campers, was that innovative aspect. So I think that's really valuable. On that note, I'm really curious. I mean, I think I get an idea of what drives you and the brothers, what is your kind of purpose and passion. And it's really finding those problems or those niches, and really, solving a problem and identifying problems, which I think is very valuable. And it's very easy to understate the importance of being able to
the hardest part is identifying the problem.
Exactly. So you guys do that well. I guess, what is Kingstar's kind of purpose, or Kingstar's vision, as a company, and what is that driving force behind Kingstar? Does that trickle down from the brothers into the company? I know it's family owned, family run. When I go on site and I see a lot of the cousins and nephews and uncles working there, does those same values that you have, does that also trickle and become part of that purpose that Kingstar has as they make more products and continue to innovate?
Yeah, well, it's twofold or more, but yes, of course, we have to make a living, provide for the family, have an opportunity, whether they take it or not. Cal and I are almost 10 years to the day apart, so he's
older?
64.
Okay, there you go.
I'm 54.
Are you the youngest?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have one sister, Connie, and then there's 5 of us, and I'm the youngest. Cal's the oldest boy. I'm the youngest. So.
That explains the black sheep. We're also the youngest, so we have a table of the youngest.
Yeah. But so it is that. So we're on the other side of the curve of life, and Cal's children are in that young, ambitious age, and even Cal's grandkids were working this summer with us. So that is part of it for sure. But it's a passion for the product. And I believe that's Harvey Firestone, in one of his memoirs, said that if you're getting into business, and this is beyond a paraphrase, but hopefully the gist of what I'm saying comes through. If you're getting into the business just for the dollar signs, and you look at your customer and trying to find the dollar signs in their pupils, don't do it.
Yeah.
You're in it for the wrong reasons. You get in it because there's a need and because you have a passion for that product. And in his time, it was tires. It was Henry Ford was, 1903. That's when Ford Motor Cars started, and Henry Ford and Firestone were, friends. And so that's what we're ultimately in it for. Obviously, it's got to be, a profitable company, but it has to start there. Identify a need and a passion for it, and actually, using it. The last 3 years, I have been guaranteed 250 to 300 days in the truck camper, in our camper.
Wow.
So I'm getting it firsthand. That's a child to me, that camper. And if that child, and it has had its runny noses, and it's incumbent on me to come home and say, okay, guys, our child has a runny nose here. We don't want the customer to experience our child's runny nose. We have to take care of it. And so that has been a driving force to get things done. Let's not wait for calendar year 2024 and introduce, hey, well, this is, we got, change this. If we can get these things done now, let's get them done. And to get to where it's just a fine-tuned deal. And we really feel in form and function that camper is, it's a world beater. And I say that with confidence, but hopefully it doesn't come across as in a braggadocious way. That's not my intent. But I'm very, very happy with the product, because I use it so much,
Yeah.
and I'm critical of it. I'm not giving it a pass, not one bit.
Yeah.
I think that's a really important thing to note. Not only do you use it a lot, but you've told us that the original campers you gave to your brothers to test out too.
Pretty near gave to him. Yeah, it was a very good buy. One of them still has it. Whom you met, camper number 2, and he loves it.
Yeah.
So to that, Dee, when there was like 5 prototypes that we built, and our family members bought them at a very good price, but we thanked them for it, and they said use them, and they gave their feedback on it. I had one, and now it's something that is, and this upcoming 2024, there's a lot of cool things that are going to be showing up.
Yeah. Let's talk about that a little bit later, but I'm curious, speaking of the camper, so the Camino 88 behind us, it's a very striking and very unique appearing camper, as you said. There's a lot of features in it that I've never seen in any other campers. The living space, as you said, is fantastic. You want to be in there. You want to hang out. So really, what was the inspiration for that design, for this concept of the Camino 88? Obviously, you talked about the pain points, but again, where did you get this fastback look from? Where did that inspiration come from?
Cal. No, he not only is he, he's. You haven't met him yet.
No.
No. Well, he's a unique guy. Yeah, very gifted. He can whip out a cartoon here that'll make you laugh. But so, to your point on that, 2017-18, William, Cal, and I, we were at his house. We had his truck there, and we got a bunch of 2x4s and half-inch plywood, and we just laid them out, and we were doing cuts and putting them in the bed of the truck, supporting it up, standing back like we are right now. And it was just a big plywood deal.
Yeah.
And I had some of my ideas, William had his ideas, and Cal had his idea, and when that one went up, it was like, now that's cool.
Yeah.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, to the, it was a thought that came to my mind, the fish and ski locker.
Mm-hmm.
So, our engineer, Mike, wish we could have had him on board right from the get-go. Fabulous engineer. So I kind of the ideas guy on this, and saw this, we have the flatbed boxes for the flatbed, but the pickup truck deal, I'm looking at that bed rail and it's like, wow, there could be something there.
Yeah.
And it's like, I got Cal and I said, for fishing poles and skis, that's another thing. I like the downhill ski. I was in Park City this past winter with my sister Connie and her family. And I'm talking away there with Mike and, what I had in mind. And Cal always has a pen and a pad of paper, and he's stepping aside, and I kid you not, within 3 minutes, he shows the picture. I said, that's it. Done. I mean, the whole slide deal, and then Mike looked at it, and, a week later, bang, the prints are off, and it's, so some of the stuff has been very spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a few tweaks on it, and other things, we've had to work our way through it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, great team to work on things together with and just bounce ideas off of, it sounds like, though. And
Yeah.
I was talking to Mike one day, the first time when we were picking up our camper, he happened to be around because, we have a prototype garage on our camper. So that was one of those same kind of prototypes, if you will. And I had the chance to chat with Mike. And we were sitting down and he told me something very funny, the fact that you have the Finnish heritage, the sauna is a big part of the Finnish heritage. And he's like, I think those brothers, they just get together in the sauna and just start coming up with all these ideas. Like, that's what they do in the sauna. He's like, I don't know. They must be doing something right there. So, I think we need to get a sauna in our personal lives so we can have a little bit of that kind of creativity that comes our way.
Yeah, it's in the steam. Hopefully, I think we're going to get rained out, are we?
I think we should be in. We'll just cover that.
A little bit,
we're
yeah. It's in the steam. It must be in the steam.
Yeah, there you
gets the endorphins going.
We start talking about it in the heat, and do you do the cold plunge too that goes associated with that?
Well, as a kid, we would run out the back door in the snowbank, and that was like razor blades going through the skin. But no, I don't do that. You get a heart attack when you're over 50.
Really?
I probably would. No, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah. None of us are medical doctors, so take this advice with a grain of sand. Again, the look and the finish, everything on Kingstar is very unique. It's very striking. I think it sets it apart. Is there anything else in the manufacturing process that sets you apart from like the rest of the truck camper world?
Well, I call it a big engine. Advertise that we have a big engine, and what is that? That's battery, solar, and water capacity, and we're able to get over 60 gallons of water on that. We're up to 810 amp hours of lithium, and we're going to probably be I believe it's the Victron batteries.
Yep.
I believe we're going to be able to get Tyler, we're going to have to get in Tyler here too. 1,200 amp hours.
Wow.
And 800 watts of solar. So that's the heart of it, because that camper is meant to get out there, stay out there. Can it do the KOA campground program? Absolutely. But it doesn't have to be a beast like that.
Yeah.
And then it's your garage, 30. So you got 2 mountain bikes in there now, don't you?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. E-bikes.
E-bikes.
On a tray, pulls out. You've got your flatbed boxes, all this gear that the folk can't really see. The tower in the back. I mean, it's
Loaded.
It's a show,
Loaded.
right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think I was missing something there. But the one thing that Elon Musk said, and it was a point I was going to bring up, that if we have all these other manufacturers, and there's probably a couple hundred years of manufacturing expertise in the truck camper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you name them, Lance and Northern Light and all of them. these brands that have been around a long time.
And even just the campers in general, right?
Well-known brands. And Elon has said that if you're coming in with a product or service, a newbie on the street, if you don't have a runway, meaning cash, like a long one, and if you're just gonna, come in just like everybody else, maybe a little different design, but it really is pretty much the same. Well, you better have a long runway to get, the plane to clear the trees.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the other option is that you can't be just a little bit better. You have to be a lot. You have to really show a lot of value and ingenuity. And so the latter is where we're going after, is not just a habitat to live in that's comfortable and nice, but the space, let's make it utilitarian.
Yeah.
And it's an adventure. One of our taglines on our website, or our company tagline, is "It's your adventure, period. Bring it, period." And with a Camino 88, you can bring it.
You can.
You can bring a lot.
We have.
Yeah.
And you're going to. You're just on your.
We're just starting.
Yeah. You guys just.
Yeah, this is for those watching, this is our first week officially fully on the road. Our house is no longer our home base, and we are fully living out of this rig. So yeah, we have a lot of gear and equipment in it. And to your point, to the point of the question around, how are you being different from manufacturing? I think it's that modularity, as you said, all those added values, the storage, the garage, the side saddle storage for flatbeds, the fish and pole locker, the modular rack rails that allow you to put just about any combination of rear entry / storage. Like, no one else is doing that as far as we know. People probably will, but I think what you're doing with that is you're being disruptive, right? You're extremely disruptive to the market, and you're bringing this whole new perspective. And when I talk to people that they see our camper, they're like, what is that? And they're looking at it. It's just such an eye catcher because they've seen truck campers. They're everywhere. Now we see them on the road, at least everywhere. And they all kind of look very similar.
Yeah.
And then you see this thing. Well, one is on a flatbed, so that's a little unique, not as common. But then now there's not just this wasted space everywhere.
Right.
And every inch internally, as you said, is well thought out, but now every inch externally is also well thought out. So I think that's what makes Kingstar very disruptive to the market, in our opinion, and really sets it apart.
Yeah, and that's another thing that is really important to note. Like you say, it's your adventure. And that's something I love about Kingstar too, is that, we'll have people come talk to us at the expo like, oh yeah, that locker in the back, like, that's awesome. I wouldn't use that though. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right.
They have other options.
The overland pack.
Like, I'm like, go look at that truck over there. It has completely different setup.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love too, is that modularity, that customization without really being like extensive customization. Modularity just enables you to change little things that make a big difference.
And I think on that point too, I've talked to a few people that are in the market or have campers, and I've definitely gotten some negative feedback from that. It's like, gosh, there's just so many options. Like decision fatigue is a real thing. And what I always recommend to people when I have that conversation with them is, make an Excel spreadsheet, get a sheet of paper, put down a list of all the must-haves. Like, what do you need? Where are you going? One, what are you planning to do with it? What do you need to do that? And then you can start looking at the options and be like, oh, well, okay, I actually do really want to go skiing and go fishing. That fishing, ski locker is essential. I don't have a bunch of gear. We're only doing weekend trips, so I don't need a lot of external storage. So let's just get some steps on the back. Right. Or I'm going to be towing a boat. That can decide what options are there, because I do know that with all the options, with the different floor plans, the different color schemes, there can be some decision fatigue. And I think at the end of the day, just sit down, find what you're planning to do, where you're planning to go, and then from there, let that decide the product that ultimately you go with.
Yeah, it's the accessories are a take it or leave it. They can always be added on later because of the rack rail system that we have. The layouts really come around, I would say, three aspects. One is you two, young professionals that have the ability to get out on the road and work from the road. Command center, there it is.
Yeah.
And Scott and Sasha were the genesis of that from Stony Boot.
Yep.
So there's that layout. The other one is grandparents with grandchildren, young parents with children, couch bunk. Awesome. Nice sitting area that goes into a double-decker sleeper. Sleeps 4 adults or mom, dad, and 4 preteen children. Or a couple, one person or a couple, the lounger. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very comfortable, a lot of storage. And then, some folks, it's the dinette is the least of the layouts that we do, the floor plans, but some folks that's what they had as a kid, and that's what I'm going to have now.
Yeah.
And so we offer it. And then the open range is, for folks that have a Great Dane or a couple of, medium-sized dogs that have the big area there that the dogs can sleep, down on the floor, and then they got the folding chairs. So yes, that's 5. But tell me where they don't make sense.
Yeah. No,
for those, 5 different
they all have a place.
Life scenarios, right?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And a lot of them, again, could be, changed. When we were first looking, we loved the open range. And the command center wasn't out yet, and we hadn't really discussed much. But I'm like, we could do a lot with just that open space. It's kind of a blank template. And a lot of people could. And then when the command center came out, it was kind of funny. And we got it, obviously, for the work purposes. It was office first, living second. But neither of them were sacrificed, and I say that because I was hanging out with a couple, the Mo and Christoph, the previous couple on our channel, and they have the dinette, and we're sitting in there and we're checking it out, and I'm like, you know what? The way that we use the command center, because the center console flips out, makes a very long table, and then we turn our chairs facing each other and we're eating dinner, and it is kind of like its own mini dinette as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is, something that we didn't think about, make that connection. I don't think it's marketed that way in any way, but essential use case, that's exactly how we use it.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Yeah. Especially the chair that's up by the battery box.
Yeah.
It's a big surface area there.
Exactly. So, the campers are great. You explain the process, the build, and, the creativity that goes into it. But obviously, you kind of hinted, sometimes you get a kid with a runny nose. So what were those challenges that you guys had to overcome in the development of the Camino 88? And how did you overcome them?
Well, the AC, for instance, we did not want to put a rooftop unit for multiple reasons. It adds 12 to 16 inches of height. I dare anybody say, hey, that looks great. I don't think anybody will say that looks really awesome, right? So those 2 items, it lowers your interior height inside of the camper because you got the shroud hanging down. So you get a wall mount unit, and you don't want it sticking out. It can't be, out of the sides going down the road. And if you have it in the back going out, that's ugly. And plus it just blowing the shower's cold, and you're not getting any air up front. So how do you package that in there? How do you make, the intake, the exhaust, the drainage, the condensation? So that was a challenge. Didn't want to go with, a rubber roof system and so you have this, the Phylon roof system, and then it's, as you can see, stainless metalwork, aluminum and stainless is something that we've been fabricators our whole lives. Our company has been around fabricating. That's an expensive roof that you have on there, but it's a timeless roof.
Yeah.
And it has this craftsman type look to it, and how to make that all happen, getting the right dies on it, and for instance, I know that my team gets tired of me coming, and we're kind of at the end of it, but it just happened with Tim. I won't say his last name. A customer, you met him. You're down here, and you'll see him on Instagram. You go on there.
Good to see you, Tim. It was great meeting you.
Exactly. So he was out here, and he spent. Yeah, you met him. So he just left back to Oregon, and he comes back with, a little shakeout period up in Copper Harbor, and he comes back and he had a few requests, which we did, and one of them was right in my phone. That little ash strip down where the shoes are, down on the bottom. Well, it's in my phone, and it was just, I'm going to wait this can wait. It's not a huge runny nose. But he came there, and William was with me, and which is Cal's son-in-law. He's the production manager. And he said, I have this request. And as you walk in, the closet's to the left. Well, the clothes come in the
Walkway.
the walkway.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's not a hard surface, but you brush up against them. And over time, that was annoying me. It's like, this is my space, that's your space.
In your space.
And it was there, and it quickly annoyed Tim. And I was like, this is great. I have the note in my phone, and just the importance that the team can see this, that, I'm not like, you have to check me into the institution, But that's the little things that if you just can really nail that down, and we put that ash strip, the same ash strip, and we put it between his spice cabinet and the wall. Simple.
Yeah.
And boom, done.
Yeah.
The clothes are definitely in the closet, and everybody's happy. And so those are the from big things like the AC unit and the roof system down to something that's very kind of trivial. Not a deal breaker, but let's get it right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think and again, it's those little things that really make a difference. And, for us, we're going to be living out of this full time. Those little details really do matter.
They do. They make a big difference. When you experience them every single day of your life,
yeah.
that's a lot of. I mean, you have those too. Obviously, you're in your camper
A lot.
all the time. So,
Time.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of those have come from your experience as well.
Yeah. And speaking of your experience, like you spend a lot of time on the road in the truck camper, right? And you're testing it out, and you switch out between units. We've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to join you at a bunch of expos this past year, which has been a lot of fun. We've met a lot of great people and experienced so many things along the way. But can you share some of your, I guess, maybe a piece of advice that you would give to someone considering a similar lifestyle where they're putting a lot of, hours on the road or spending time in their camper like that?
Well, that might be one of the toughest questions where I'd be caught flat-footed on, because I'm coming at it from I'm one of the owners of the company, so I'm coming at it from trade show to trade show. Let's hammer down the miles. I'm not out there spend a month, head up to Alaska and take pictures and paddleboard and just kind of idle along. So mine is very, it's point A to B and getting there fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so as far as I have tips, and I do solicit, whether they ask me or not, when I'm doing a delivery, if I have the opportunity to be here like I was with Tim when he picked his up, it's like, well, here's what's worked for me. And I understand it doesn't work for everybody, but I might want to listen. I live in this thing 300 days a year. And, we all, we eat and we put our pants on one leg at a time. So, I don't know, give it some thought.
Yeah.
So I do, what I do. So, I mean, I can do that. And obviously we're not going to get into the details here. But as far as like on the road, do you mean like if I own a Ford pickup that I can stealth camp in a Ford dealership? Is that what you're getting at?
What works? Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah, well, you can kind of stealthily get in there if you got a Ford truck.
I love that.
But biggest thing that I've always have sought out being on the road is for the night is peace and quiet.
Yeah.
Highways, trains, truck stops, try to stay good ways away from them. Get behind a big building if you are by a highway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, peace and quiet is what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places you can get out there, and especially on the West Coast. I mean, there's a lot of BLM land coming across Utah. And there's these roads that go off, and these dirt roads, and it's magnificent.
Yeah.
You just drive a mile out, you can see the traffic, you can't hear it, and the red rocks, it's just like, it's too nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We love the West, the Southwest.
Yeah.
For that same reason, BLM land, national forests, there's a lot of public land that we could stretch out into. I think we're learning, where we can and can't go. I look up a lot more than I look down now driving a truck camper. And we have a long rig, so that limits it a little bit. But, we're planning to do some upgrades to expand on our range. But I agree wholeheartedly, get away from the noise. We like to be isolated in where we're at.
One thing we did learn from you that you probably think is common knowledge at this point, but Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place to park.
It is.
Because you can get dinner and you can get breakfast and head on the road. Most Cracker Barrels will let you sleep there overnight.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Their biscuits
You
and
need
gravy
it.
is
Their biscuits
fantastic
and
in the morning.
Country boy, not mine.
I love
Country ham. Yeah.
That experience, I guess, of traveling trade show to trade show, spending 300 days a year on the camper. How many campers have you actually been driving in the past?
How many
have you cycled through? And again, with each iteration, I'm guessing your personal feedback probably, as you said, goes back to it. So, like, do you specifically pick up a camper? Like, I know, for example, you're picking up a new one to take to this next expo.
Yeah.
Do you have like a checklist in your head that's saying, these are the things I'm looking out for in this particular camper that works or doesn't work? Or do you just kind of do it in a natural way? You live in it, you use it, and see what happens?
Yeah. So fortunately, the pain points, we use the runny nose. It is the camper really is there. The one I'm taking to the show now is which will probably, I think we're going to have another video on, of the upcoming 2024 deals, but it's a more base unit that is an adventure series, more of adventure series camper that was very much like the first campers we were building. We're kind of going back to that because we want all folks to have the Kingstar experience, and some may be where they don't have they either don't want to or don't have the resources for a fully lithium maxed out deal like you guys got. And it just doesn't make sense for them because their lifestyle, they're going to hit a couple weekends a year or that 1 week trip a year, so they don't need something, but still provide them with a quality camper and a great experience. So that's the camper that I'm going to be bringing to this show. It's going to be a complete, kind of look the same as far as the profiles, but when you start digging into it, walking into it, it's going to have a very similar vibe. You guys stepped in it. You can see some resemblance. It's a Kingstar.
Oh, absolutely.
But there's a big difference in the electronics and what this camper could do. I wouldn't want to take that one and head out to, Banff or something and hang out, because it just doesn't have the battery power, the water capacity, and all the nice features, that this one has. So, hopefully I answer your question.
Absolutely. And I think that's it. You're kind of diversifying into different markets. I'm sure that your experience of time on the road in the Camino 88 has led to understanding that there is this kind of market and niche that we can continue to fill and transition into, probably from your own experience on the road. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And talking to people and meeting people, which, I think that leads well into my next question around customer service. What can people expect of customer service? And I guess this is a great place to tie in, William and Tyler and some of these other individuals that work for you, because I've had personal experience. I have Tyler's number. I'm chatting with him all the time. He was texting me just the other day. We were brainstorming some electronic ideas of things that we want to do and upgrade to our camper.
Yeah.
And, my experience has been fantastic. But, as the president of Kingstar, what can you say to potential customers or people that already have a Kingstar camper, what they can expect of that customer service?
Yeah. You can expect to have prompt, before, during, and after the sale. That's very important. And it starts with me, that the customer is responded to ASAP, and that what can or should be addressed is addressed. And yes, we do have a customer service line. Tyler takes the the big load of William does as well, but when it comes into the more technical stuff, Tyler is the go-to guy, lithium, solar, this, that. But he also has become very instrumental in engineering.
Mm-hmm.
He's been leaned on quite a bit lately, and he does it with a smile on his face, and he's into this kind of a deal. As you already know,
he has a van.
He has a van. Yeah, he's doing a van build, and smart guy, very ambitious. What he doesn't put off. What's the saying? Put off today what can be put off. I don't know. Put off today what can be done tomorrow, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't procrastinate. He's on it, as well as our whole team. I think we're going to try to get an interview with all of our team members, but the two gals, Charlotte and Elsa, they're a team unto their own. The upholstery and our upholstery shop, and just getting back to Tim, he has a back issue, and he's a professional photographer, and he came back and he said, I'd like to get a cushion made for my back, and I got Elsa and Charlotte in the camper, and we had some raw cushion, and we shaped it custom, and within 90 minutes Tim's like, hey, this feels good. And so it was a total custom cushion for Mr. Tim.
And, a one-off.
And that took us 90 minutes. And now Tim's lifetime in that camper it's going to be good. His back's going to feel good. And that's what it's, that's one of the things what it's about there is just customer service, to your point, that let's make it happen.
Yeah. And I mean, we've owned our camper now for, 4 or 5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And, we still get that customer service, so I could speak to that. And it is, fantastic. We've been blown away. We actually had the opportunity to come back here on our way out to the expo, to the shop. And, we're testing another prototype product with Kingstar. And, we had a couple little asks on fit and finish. And, they were able to, again, upholstery in this particular case, put a blackout screen that we wanted. And it was just done in a matter of 15-20 minutes, which just blew my mind, because we're planning to be here all weekend anyway, so take your time, please. But as you said, people don't put it off. If something needs to be done, they get it done immediately. And that the pride that they take in the work too, you see it in everything that they build. And
I would say it's not just like people with those pain points or like the little customizations that they need, it's also the innovation. I mean, we've come to you guys saying like we built our own electronics cabinet in there, and I mean, we told you about it, and now you guys are thinking about expanding that into the rest of your campers.
The Starlink and Pep deal.
And it's kind of great.
Right where you have it, and we're going to be doing Tyler will be.
Thank you.
Sorry, Tyler. Make sure I caught that one. Tyler is going to be doing that. It's going to be very similar to what you guys did. So we're not timid on beta testing. So it's you got to get in the pool to start swimming. So
So you mentioned you have a new product that you're taking to the Overland Expo East. If you guys are around to see that this week, we're going to try to get this video out the same week of the expo. Please stop by and check it out. But what other products are you guys pushing out in 2024? Is there anything else that we could look forward to?
There's a lot. It's going to be, I'm not going to get too deep in the woods on it. I'd like to have it, where it's done and it's shown. But we're going to be having a short bed model, which will be the Camino 66. And we're very hopeful that the dry bath is going to be in there, just like the that you have in yours.
Love that. It's a staple product. I think that's one of those, I don't know if it's a patent or whatever, however you want to describe it.
Patent pending.
That is the key feature that got us interested in Kingstar initially, because I've never seen a use of space quite like that.
And then we're getting into the CA series, cab to axle series, and it's going to be widening. There'll be a CA 42, which will be a 66 widened for flatbed application. So the CA42, 56, 60, and 84. Those, the 60 and 84 will be a 25, 20, 26 deal. And and the CA56 is that camper, which is a Camino 88, 5 inches wider. And where we do it is right down in the galley up to the bed. So your galley is 5 inches wider, and your cabinets alongside the bed grow 2.5 inches on each side. So you got wider cabinets.
Yeah.
The camper that I'm taking down, like we aforementioned, the Camino 88. So we got another line coming. I'm not going to drop the name of the line here, but it's going to be basically the Camino series 66 and 88 is going to be like the suburban AGM technology, suburban hot water heater, AGM batteries. There'll be some options. All the accessories will be available for it. It'll be like a hybrid command center. There will be none of the high electronics in it. It'll just, the layout will be available. All the accessories will be available. It's just toned down a little bit.
Yeah.
Exterior and interior, and the equipment list to get. I don't want to use the word price point, but that's what it is, because that kind of has the connotation of being cheap. It's not cheap. The bones of it are going to be just like that. Closed cell spray foam, stainless roof system, thermal pane windows. So the bones of it is going to be right up there. And there's other things that we could talk about, but I'm not going to.
Yeah. No, I'm happy we got this.
That we're gonna be dropping on the camper world that I think that they'll appreciate.
Yeah, that's exciting news.
Not just the camper, but the accessories, and which one. There's one of them that you guys will be soon experiencing.
Absolutely, we're excited. Lots of good stuff to come. I know I'm excited to see it, and again, I think it's just that constant and continual innovation. We're seeing it, and it's just branching out into, a wider spectrum of products for Kingstar. So great to see, and I'm great to hear that, Kingstar's doing successful and they're expanding, continuing to grow. That's always great things to hear. Back to, your personal experience, and, as we're on the road right now and we're kind of having this roadside rambling conversation, I kind of want to end in a way. I really just want to hear if there's any memorable experience that you've had being on the road, outside of the shows and Kingstar, as a company, but, as you spend your days on the road traveling, from here and the beautiful UP of Michigan down to Arizona, and all around the US, is there any memorable experience that's really stuck out to you over the past couple of years?
Yeah, well, there are, and the most, I guess, memorable are my horse JD and I having the opportunity, some of the rare opportunities when I've been able to take her along, or I have a couple weeks off, and I like to go into Utah, specifically the Valley of the Gods, which is near Mexican Hat, near the Four Corner area, and it's just her and I, with a camper, the trailer, and she was the genesis of Kingstar.
Wow.
Like the point. That was the horse. I have one horse.
Yeah.
And out of all of the activities that I mentioned, I love them: mountain biking, kayaking, all of that. Horseback riding that's number one.
Yeah.
And there's just something about it that I love the West. And it's just, I'm very thankful and grateful that God has given this opportunity for me, our family, and to be able to do that. And so at nighttime when I'm grilling a steak, the sun's going down, or in the morning having that coffee, and you can hear the horse JD's eating there. And it's just like, you know what? It just doesn't get better than this.
Yeah.
And to be part of it, of the building the brand, building the product with the whole team, everybody involved. I wish that they had the opportunity to be on the road, and they're young families, so they can't, and their daily workload is the manufacturing of this. So I have that that perk, so to speak. I try to tell them we're going to have the eagle in there. It's flying by. I try to tell them with a very, like, oh, this road is tough. Jokingly, they know I'm having a good time on it, but because it really is, it's it can be tough, trying to get from here to there if you're under the gun, but once you're out there, it's quite nice living in that camper, if I may say so myself. Yeah.
Well, I mean, as you said, that type of moment, the solitude of being out there, you and your horse, and we had this conversation the other night. There's something about the West and the Southwest specifically that's, maybe romanticized a little bit for those of us that live in the States and even those that have visited. But something about having this wide open land and, being able to see these vistas, that just goes miles and miles. Those are very magical moments.
It's incredible. King David talked. He said, "A fool in his heart says there is no God." And that just comes right home. I mean, you sit there. I'm on this beautiful beast. God made it.
Yeah.
Looking at this creation, the sun coming up, going down, the topography, it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It just knocks me out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's those kind of moments that it's why we do what we do. We get out there, and I love meeting the people, and, we talked about this. Everyone has a story to share, and I love hearing those stories. I learn vicariously through them, if you will. But, again, when Dee and I are out in Moab, or, when we're doing our trips back, towards Arizona, and we just stop and we're camping out in the middle of some BLM.
It's the best part.
Born and raised in Arizona.
Yep, born and raised there. So
Yeah.
I didn't take it for granted when I was there. I really
Beautiful
appreciated
state.
what we had, and I left, went out back east for a few years, worked my way back to Arizona and Colorado, which love the Rockies. Absolutely beautiful. I love the mountains, and I think I'll always, the mountains, as they say, the mountains are calling.
Yeah.
I think it will always end up back in a state, whether it's like a Montana or Colorado, or, who knows, maybe we're going to Canada. They have beautiful Canadian Rockies are absolutely gorgeous as well.
Yeah.
But something about being in nature, being in the wild. And I think one of the things we said about the West specifically is it's you really got to respect it, because if you don't, as soon as you don't, it could hurt you.
It hurts you real bad.
It'll put you back in your place. So
from a flash flood to a critter biting you.
exactly, yeah. But I mean, that's part of the adventure. That's part of the
It's
journey.
part of the romance of the desert. Yeah.
And I think that's why we do it. So I think that's all I have. Deidre, you have
That's
anything
all I
to add?
have. Been a great conversation.
Yeah,
It's been a lot of fun.
great conversation.
Yeah.
Marcus, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And, thank you all for being here. Hope you enjoyed that. This is episode 2 of our roadside ramblings. Look for more to come. I know that we're hopefully going to meet a lot of other people that are living on the road, truck life, van life, etc. And I want to hear those stories, their experiences, and hopefully bring you guys along for that conversation and that journey, because I think we all can learn a little bit from it. So thank you again. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Sounds good. Yep. Appreciate y'all. Take care.
Bye.